All right, everybody, welcome back to Resistance of Tyranny. Where do I even start? So much is happening, and it's really hard to process it all. But there's a lot of things hidden behind this whole riot situation and Floyd's death. One thing, we have some mysterious umbrella man who was seen before the riots started. He was white. You could see through the gas mask with an umbrella and full-on gear before the riots started, breaking out windows. And so there have been claims that the police, there was undercover cops or agents. The same thing that happened during the World Trade Organization protests back after 9/11. And then you had the Delta Force, who came in and started breaking things, and then they all retreated to a building, negotiated their surrender, and then none of them were ever charged with anything. But they did that as a way to make a peaceful protest look bad. And again, this was a secret group of selected people, leftist people. They admitted that they trained. They brought them over to a military base and a government housing facility or a military base somewhere in Oregon, in my home state, and trained them for a few weeks. It was mainly leftist, like Antifa type people. And that's how they do the selection process. They select those certain people who will go along with the plan, who are that type of person. And they brought them over, train them, and then they go in and go to that. So it's not the whole military, the whole police force. They send them in, and they get the job done, and they make the protest look bad. So there have been claims that has happened. I wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure that did happen. They had some group of police, special group of police, specially chosen. And the chiefs of police aren't always bad, but a lot of times they get in a position of power, put there on purpose, and corrupted. And so you have these really bad people in charge, but there have been some good in charge. I've seen videos of people protesting the police, fuck 12, and then the guy tries to arrest them for some reason, and the chief of police comes out and says, that's free speech, you can't arrest them. So there's some good and some bad. But just the majority of police chiefs and leaders in there are people in power, put there on purpose for certain reasons, just like you have certain politicians that way, bought out by the globalists. And so that has been an idea. Also, people have claimed that the riots didn't start until the tear gas and the rubber bullets were shot off. But really, the main thing here, so we have all that secret stuff. I'm sure that did happen. The coronavirus didn't work. The coronavirus was designed to cause a civil war and a breakdown of society, and it didn't necessarily happen. People knew who the enemy was. They tried to get Trump out with it. They definitely took our rights away with it. People stood up to that. Nobody's falling for the Trump thing, even though as much as they're pushing as they are right now. And they're blaming this on Trump too. Give me a break, people. I've named all the reasons. Killing off the third world, getting Trump out of office, taking our rights, bringing in martial law, forced inoculations, forced microchipping, so many different things, and so many beneficiaries. The big pharma benefiting from the coronavirus. That didn't work to bring in that breakdown that they wanted. They wanted to cause riots and stuff through cutting up the food chains, cutting off people from working. We see that opening back up now, and now they're moving. There's now this mystery virus that's coming, so that's going to be in the fall, I'm sure, right before the election. And they're also trying to get mail-in ballots, which will be covered in fraud. I've mentioned that before. So now they've moved to this whole racist thing that they all keep these going over a period of time, over years, covering them. But then they really hammer on one when it's needed. And so the globalists are throwing everything right now. They're just like freaking out. We're putting up somewhat of a resistance, but I guess they feel very threatened by it. It's crazy, but this is horrible now. A race war breaking out, I'm sure people will reject that as well. People aren't that stupid. People that argue with me about it are stupid like that. But the majority of people aren't stupid enough to say it's blacks versus whites. That's that's fruit. That's retarded. So there's a few things we need to address here. Floyd's death. They planned a race war false flag type thing for many, many years. It's in the documents. Also, the bigger thing of the race war with ETs, but that would be a separate situation where you have trying to unite people into one world government and then carry out depopulation from there, which was attempted with the coronavirus, and it didn't seem to work. With Bill Gates being the leader, the majority of people didn't follow that. So I think the unite and conquer method isn't really necessarily working, but the divide and conquer, which we're seeing now, does seem to work better and killing off people with each other. So with the unite and conquer, you would have people uniting into one world government, and then you have some type of a dystopian Hunger Game type future where they most of the population's killed off into one world government. They kind of mess with you, and then they wipe you off the face of the earth, and they transcend with their devil, even though that's a lie. He's a fraud. But so that hasn't worked. So I don't think we have to worry too much about a Hunger Games type future, although it could happen. We're seeing this divide and conquer where it's just like they're throwing everything now, kill each other, and we're out of here. But this idea that burning down buildings in a black neighborhood, their own community, I've seen a video, poor black man's wearing his face mask. He's crying. The looters came in and tried. I mean, these are thugs, like Trump said. Tried to break in the safe. It took all my life savings. I took so long to get here. He's a black man running his own business, and they looted the place as if that's somehow going to happen. Now, I somewhat support them going and burning down Target and the police station because that's actually logical. Target, it's a big left. It's really bizarre that they're actually burning down Target because it's such a leftist type corporation, and this is all funded by George Soros, the Nazi collaborator who said it was fun making, rounding up Jews and taking their property with his dad when he was a kid as a Nazi. So that's funded by him. We know that. You can look that up. Really, I want you guys to stay here because there's a lot of information I need to cover, and it's very, very important. So that's kind of bizarre, but burning down the police station makes sense. It's logical. I don't suggest doing it because obviously the guy was charged with murder. He was arrested. I mean, why keep doing this? There's no point of it. But there's a few ways they're going to use this. Get Trump out. All these businesses will now be bankrupt because they've been looted and robbed and everything destroyed. So that'll just affect the economy more and give the banks more power. And the insurance companies benefit from that as well. Again, corporations always benefit from some type of thing. Let's see what else. I mean, this is modern warfare, so more than just weapons manufacturers and oil companies will be benefiting from this. Pharmaceutical companies benefit. Insurance companies now benefit. They're part of the New World Order. We see all of that. So this will be used as a way of depopulation, getting Trump out. Again, the beneficiaries of the corporations, getting Trump out. Depopulation, blacks versus whites, not just blacks versus police. I mean, blacks and whites can unite against that somehow. Yeah, not all police are bad. The agenda of the police originally was good to protect and serve. It got hijacked into the New World Order, but everybody in it is not evil. Is not an evil person. You have to recognize the individualities. I've stressed on this many, many times. So it could be blacks and whites against police, but now it's blacks versus police turned into blacks versus whites. So kill each other, and that eliminates most people off the planet. And then it'll also bring in martial law, which we're now seeing Trump sending in the National Guard to try and break it up. I mean, they don't have loaded guns or anything, but I mean, this is just a recipe for disaster. And then you have some guy who ends up firing a shot at the National Guard. It causes a giant situation between them, National Guard police, and the rioters. That brings in martial law. It takes more of our rights away. And then there'll also be the conflict between those who support the police, and I'm kind of in the middle because I mean, obviously, it was a horrible, horrible thing to happen. But when you see a white guy get killed by a police officer, you don't hear about that too much. You hear about police brutality in general, but nobody riots for the white guy who was shot by a police officer when he was crawling drunk towards that guy, and he just fired at him, if you guys remember that video. Nobody rioted for that. The media still hyped it up, this anti-police rhetoric, and it's not all the police, and it's not all white people, and it's not all of America's fault. But those who support the police and those who support the riots, it'll be a clash between them as well. Again, reducing the number of people on the planet. And I've mentioned this before, the form of depopulation, a race war. Charlie Manson, who worked with the CIA and mind control, and also some other programs, work with the globalists, I'm sure. He was a Satanist. He took hallucinogens, which we know are a way to contact that realm of Satan, especially DMT, but he did LSD and some other things. I'm sure he did DMT as well. He was told by his God to start a race war, and that's what he tried to do. I mean, this guy is whack. Charlie Manson, if you ever seen videos of him, I mean, he's crazy. I actually know a guy who was the prison guard and watched over Charlie Manson. I'd like to ask him some questions about what he saw. I mean, drawing pentagrams on his forehead, I'm sure. I mean, just a whacked out dude. So this video is getting kind of long, almost 12 minutes. I'm kind of ranting here. Death. That's the whole point. I mean, we have all these different things benefiting from it. I mean, what if the whole situation was a false flag? Not just the rioting. I mean, I'm sure he actually did die. This is just an open-ended question. This is just me being out there. If you had something that happened, because it's very strange for this to happen, and now right at this time when the coronavirus is kind of dying down, even though it would be a second wave, they have to have this race war now. What if they send out, I mean, what if this was a completely staged event? This is ridiculous. I'm being kind of sarcastic, but I mean, it's possible. I mean, question everything. Send out George Floyd, and this police officer is completely staged. He doesn't even die. He goes off. I mean, that's a real thing I'm thinking about. But things are so crazy. I mean, that literally could have happened. I highly doubt it. This was an untrained man. They did use this technique. It's in the Minneapolis Police Department's files on restrictions and stuff. But there is a unconscious and conscious knee to neck technique that they use. One that will knock them out. One that will not kill them, but knock them out. And one that will keep them conscious because it's blocking that airway. So they do train that. I think it should be put to a stop. Also, where was I? So much to cover. I apologize. George Floyd also had underlying conditions. I'm surprised they didn't blame it on coronavirus, but this is just like, I mean, it's really ironic. You have the coronavirus where you have underlying conditions, and then they blame that on the coronavirus. And then you have this. He was on cocaine. He had heart problems, and then he died from that, which otherwise, to an average person, I don't think would have killed him. So there's just so much going on, and you have to deny the whole racist part of it, saying that all whites are bad, or all blacks are bad, or all Asians are bad, or all Arabs are bad, or, I mean, just basic kindergarten stuff. I mean, you're a human. Be real for a second. Put all that aside. He's been charged. Quit burning down the city, or I don't even know what's going to happen. It's all so crazy. Please share this video wherever you can. It's so important, such important information. I didn't even get to what I was really trying to talk about today because I just learned so much about this today. I really dive into it. I thought it was just some police brutality by some whacked out police officer, even though he wasn't doing it on purpose. It seemed like not like beating him like a lot of other guys, which really enrages me. But not all police are bad, and I've harped on that. I might as well cover them really quick because there's so much happened today, and I saw the pictures and everything, and I was just kind of blown away. I mean, people literally with an American flag burning it, saying America's the problem. I mean, just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. These main things which I wanted to cover, that was way more important, but a suspected looter was shot dead by a pawn shop owner in the city of Minneapolis. The riots broke out following the killing of Floyd. At a midnight press conference, Minneapolis Police Chief John Elder confirmed that a man suspect of looting by the store owner was shot dead outside the Cadillac Pawn Shop and Jewelry on East Lake Street near Bloomington Avenue, reported Market Watch. According to Metro, a man is in custody following the shooting and took place around 9:25 p.m. last night as police entertained a few different scenarios when attempted to recreate the events leading up to the fatal incident. And also, another major thing happening with Twitter and the censorship. Jack Dorsey has defended his platform's decision to fact-check Trump. Spat erupted between Twitter and Donald Trump, one of the platform's most prophetic users, obviously, after Twitter said 2 of his posts were misleading and fact-checked them. The president accused social media of harboring the anti-conservative bias, a sentiment that was fulfilled by an unearthed anti-Trump tweets by Twitter's head site integrity. Hopefully that will stop some of this censorship, that the Trump removing that liability shield that I was talking about yesterday. But the final thing I really wanted to point out in this video, quit burning down the buildings of innocent people. Target and the police station, that's logical. If I were out there, I wouldn't be out there. Because you know what? If I was actually so mad about this, which I am on a different level, not about the police brutality, I'm mad about that they're causing this race war. But in that gang mentality, if I was a leader, I would lead everybody up to Washington. I would go find Bill Gates, and I would take him out. I would take George Soros out. I would take a variety of people out that are in charge of all this. But that's also the last thing we need, too, because that'll bring in martial law and a lot more things. And so what's next? You can only predict another false flag or something, some domestic terrorism type thing where they blow up another federal building and blame it on us and bring in more martial law and more bad things. We're living in insane times, and if you're not caught up, you're living under a rock. This is an amazing time to be alive, and it's very, very scary. That's all for today. See you guys tomorrow.